I will get around to doing it. I'm on call this week, Leslie, so I haven't really got time to sit there and do a massive video.
Huh.
The joys of it. But they are coming. They are stacking. They are stacking. So we'll get there. We will get there. It'll probably be in the next couple of weeks, to be fair.
I'm being told that they can't hear me on my audio, but can on yours. So
Oh,
I've just changed the settings. So hopefully, let me know
okay.
if they can hear me.
Oh,
That was weird. With
yeah. Have you got two bars going up and down, mate, in your OBS?
oh, I don't know. I've got to go back into that now, haven't I? And just screw up
Yeah,
everyone's screw up everybody's eyesight. Do 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 do. Yeah, I
two
think.
bars talking. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got it. Yeah, I think that's definitely working now. Sorry about that, guys.
Oh, yeah. Got you back.
There we go.
I tend to use Halford's White Primer. Okay, yeah. Apparently that's probably one of the better ones. I just feel ripped off buying any sort. I used to see. This is the thing when you get in the hobby. For when you're someone like myself, at round about my age, you normally start with Games Workshop, and you get teared a new arsehole when it comes to money. You get absolutely done in, because especially if you walk into a GW store and not knowing you can buy it from third party, and you pay, what was it? I paid 15 quid for a can of cold spray or something.
I know.
16.
It's obscene, actually, isn't it?
And just that's why I don't use spray primers anymore. Oh well, the only ones I use are from the pound shop, from Poundland. The grey or the black, and that black. Um,
I did get
yeah.
some of the just the weekend before everything shut down. I bought some grey primer from Halfords, and that works really nicely. I really like that. I'm really impressed with it.
Yeah.
And it's like for a really big can, it's like £7 or something, which I thought was.
That's not too bad. It's
This
not
is
too bad if you ain't got an airbrush, is it? Let's be honest.
shut up,
That's not
shut
that's
up.
not too bad.
He's off again on his airbrush again.
You get the one.
Cheers, Leslie. Thanks, Claude, and I appreciate it. Yeah, I know it was. It is working now, which is all good. And welcome, Middle Earth Shadow. Wow, don't think I've seen you around before.
Hey, Kaiser's back. You alright, mate?
Cal Kaiser's in the house. What are you working on tonight, then, Ken?
I am doing my Germans, mate, for my Stalingrad build.
Nice.
I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 so far, and I've got the other 12 on the go now. They're near enough done. Sorry, excuse me. I've just had dinner. I literally got in at 7:20. I got some more miniatures through from the assault group. They sent me some more minis to have a little review and a little paint up of.
Nice.
And they are Germans. So
Ah,
I'm using them for Stalingrad. I'll tell you what. If you haven't ever bought a German MMG, right? This assault group miniature. I'm going to try and get this in focus because it's well worthy of it. My God, that on a tripod.
yeah,
It looks bloody insane.
yeah.
It is beautiful, and it's the E. Do you know what, mate? Do you know how much of a pain in the ass it is to put together an MG42 or a 34 from Warlord?
Oh, yeah.
That's all one piece. It's
Really?
one piece.
Seriously, is it? Oh, brilliant.
It's one piece, mate. You literally take it out of the box and you glue it on.
Jeez.
It's one piece. It is so nice.
That is fantastic. That gets my vote along. Just purely on that basis, that just gets my vote.
Yeah, yeah. It's one piece, and I cannot. I think it looks amazing. I really do, and it's not even because they sent it to me just to review. I bloody love it. They've got a medic here as well, right? I'll show you the medic. He's carrying a stretcher.
Oh yeah, nice.
That's a really nice one. You get 3 in a pack with the medic. Oh yeah, and that MG42, if you're interested, is £7.20 for you get a 4-man team. I gather in I want to say chain of command. It might be a 4-man team for a heavy sustained fire roll machine gun. But there is another model here which is really cool for a medic for Germans, which is you got a guy wounded on the floor,
Oh, that's nice.
and you got a guy. It's 2 separate guys, and you got the guy actually applying the actual dressing and stuff above him. So I've got 4 medics. You've got another guy running. It's freaking lovely models, man. They really are absolutely lovely.
I tell you what, this whole stream thing could become a offensive miniatures love fest because I just love them. I was looking at their figures the other
Oh no,
day.
not offensive miniatures. That one's the assault group.
Oh, assault group. Sorry, mate. Okay.
Yeah, the assault group. Yeah. The assault group. Even though offensive miniature stuff is lovely. Don't get me wrong. But
I haven't got any assault groups, so I misheard you. Sorry, or maybe I was just dreaming of offensive miniatures again. I don't know.
they are nice.
I'm trying desperately not to spend any more.
What we got here? Modern is doing well, thanks. Cool, very good. Mortars are usually a pain as well. Yes, they are usually.
Oh god, yeah, just trying to get the little bit to balance on the barrel in the right position, and then it sticks to your finger.
Again, I should have said this in the Japanese review when I did for the assault group. Their mortar was 2-part, but they had a special. It was like a special groove that fit in, and the base for the actual mortar actually held the whole thing up perfectly. So just to literally put it together, you just put a blob of glue on the base and literally a tiny bit of glue in this groove, and it fits together perfect.
Right.
It's not flimsy and bendy. That's another thing I wanted to ask actually, because obviously I'm not so thingy with metal miniatures. I've mentioned it in my reviews. I don't know why, but the Warlord, say like the weapons and all that, they're very bendy.
Yeah.
Does it make like some of the bayonets? They're very bendy, but with these guys, everything seems to be really chunky. Do they use different types of metal?
I think it's different. It's the composition they use. So if they put in, oh no, which I think is it more pewter or lead? I forget. That basically, it's the composition of the metal they use. So
right.
I presume the cheaper ones are the bendier ones. I presume. I don't know. Somebody might know in the chat. But yeah, it is noticeable how different different manufacturers' metal figures are. It really is in terms of that, softness. And I'm trying to build at the moment. I still haven't finished it. The Victory from the Black Seas thing, and it's driving me insane because the masts are so soft. So you just literally touch them and they bend over, and it's like, for just Pete's sake. Whereas I'm working on this some horses from Gripping Beast, and these are seriously heavy. You'd be hard pressed. In fact, I don't often do it with horses, but when they've got those poses like this one has, where you can see that, where they've got hooves off the ground, and usually they have bits joining them to the ground, and usually I leave them on because I know they're going to be unstable. But on this figures, I've actually chopped them all off because this is still pretty solid. Even I'm not going to push it really hard, but it's hard enough that I know that it won't bend, because these are really solid. So I don't know what they make them out of, different, how it's different, but it must be something to do with the metal composition.
It's got to be. I'll have to ask, because I've got a Germany. Where is he? I can't find him now. I've got a couple. I cut his bloody thing off the other day. Where is it? Oh, there he is. So I've got Germany running.
Yeah.
And he comes with a little bit of metal in between the gap there, but you can see I'm pushing down there.
Yeah.
And he ain't shifting, and I'm giving that some force now.
If
he ain't moving.
If that was a Warlord one, it'd be on its knees. Yeah.
I'm not slating Warlords miniatures. I'm not, because everyone does things differently. They've got some beautiful sculpts, but I never knew the metals like this, because I could pick two of these up. So I picked up a Warlord miniature, and I've got this the assault group one in my hand, and the assault group one is definitely heavier, 100%.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely is the case. It's noticeable how often when you pick them up, it's like you say, when you pick them up, one of them will be think, oh wow, that feels proper chunky.
Yeah, I never knew it. I thought they all used the same sort of process and the same metals.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. One day I'd love to actually go around one of the factories. Sorry, I'm talking with a brush in my mouth. To actually go around and have a look at them. I've seen them online when they've manufactured figures, but I'd love to actually see it done for real, right from sort of moulding through to actually casting the things.
Yeah, well, in January when I went up to Nottingham for my birthday with Liam and that, we actually went to Warlord and we stayed there for a day and played the games, and we were meant to get a tour around all the mould facilities and all that, where they do all the sculpting and all that jazz.
Yeah.
But the guy didn't come in because he wasn't well, so we couldn't go around.
Oh, that's a shame.
But yeah, just to see it would have been pretty cool. But
I know I know they do them in a sort of they do them in circulars. Um, so and
Yeah,
they clamp them together, and then it's done on a centrifugal thing, isn't it, which drives the metal into the end of the mold. Um,
yeah.
so
Well, if
it's
you watch Pete, who does the Assault Group,
hmm
from the Assault Group miniatures on their Facebook, he does live casting sessions, so you can watch him do it.
oh, does he live? Okay. Oh, I
Yeah, yeah,
must
yeah,
check that out.
yeah,
That's,
yeah. I'm gonna go on there and have a look. Yeah, he's tells you what goes in the process, how he does it, and
yeah,
he shows you him doing it and stuff.
nice. Oh, I'll go and have a look at that. I mean, I say I've seen. In fact, I saw one of those. Oh god, like Discovery Channel or something like that. They did a
How
bizarrely
they do
one,
it.
yeah, how they do it, and it was how you make model little, toy soldiers. I thought that's a bit niche, but yeah, they showed you, and so I saw it on there, and I thought, wow, it's kind of cool. Can't even
Yeah,
remember
he's
what the
pretty smart.
can't remember what the manufacturer was, but yeah, it was. It's an interesting process, and I was watching. Uh,
Job.
no, no, I was watching. Who was that? Oh God, what's his name? The guy who's doing with Andy Hobday, doing the famous one of the famous sculptors. Oh God, somebody will remember his name. I'm terrible.
Perry's one of the
No,
Perrys.
not the Perrys. The other one, Hicks,
Yeah,
Paul Hicks. That's it. And they were doing a stream the other day to try and encourage everyone to go on their New Baron Wars Kickstarter, and he was sitting there modelling some figures on the stream. It was on a
yeah,
Facebook stream, and it was really interesting to see him working away at them, and talking about the process that he goes through in terms of taking a model. A lot of times they seem to start with something already and then build it
yeah,
up, and amend it. Rarely does it seem to be, well, rarely, I don't know, I'm interpreting what he said, but it didn't seem like, more often than not, they started with something already, which kind of makes sense when you look at some of the figures. You can see they're all based on the similar kind of pose, or
yeah.
basic template.
Well, the Perry twins, they sculpted the whole Bretonian range for Games Workshop.
Yeah.
But you could do. They had like something like 20 different knights. Yeah, 20 different types of knight for one role.
Mhm.
So they sculpted loads of them, but they started all with the same legs, but then the torso and the heads were all different. So
Right.
they would all start with the same thing. So it's like you can see with just miniatures in general, can't you? You can
Mm.
see some of the legs are the same, but then torsos and all that jazz are a little bit different.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I know when you look at when I look at them sometimes, I think, oh, well, that's the same figure, and then you look closer and think, actually, no, it's not. It's his arms slightly in a different position, or his just in a slightly different pose, but it's clearly the same basic figure that they've started with, but just
Yeah, yeah,
done enough variation that actually it isn't the same, and
it is different. Yeah,
which is, I guess, makes sense. I mean, you can't just
you got to be
create them
cost
all.
efficient, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. Make the most of what you
Like
got. So
time is money, isn't it? So
certainly is.
you can definitely in that regard. I was thinking this week because we didn't even have a chance to get any questions done, did we?
No,
I was going to say we were going to talk about what was it?
nostalgia. Yes. Go on.
Uh,
What do you mean by nostalgia? I know you did your what was it? Your 6 mil video the other day. Is that what you were getting at?
oh, oh yeah. I never even played it when I was a kid. Really, I just had them, and just the thought of having those models again, but doing it properly as an adult, it just blew me. It just took me straight back to, like, I want to say 97, 97, 98 when I had them, and I remember smelling the box for the first time. I love that. I love that smell. The 90s box smell. Love it. I've got a thing for smelling rulebook as well.
Oh yeah.
Love
Now that
love
I'm with you on that
love,
one.
love I love finding a rule book or a brand new rule book and giving it a good old whiff. There's nothing quite like it. Or if it's laid dormant, like since the 80s, you open it up. Great smell there of fucking asbestos and all that shit that you would have had back in the day. Bags, everything. It's just had that spell, didn't it?
Yeah, it
That
does.
certain smell.
No, I know what you mean. I know exactly what I like rule books. I have to say, brand. I was oh God, what's it? Oh no, the rules that can't be named, SPQR. I took them down to the club, and they'd literally just arrived that day, or the day before, and I took them down to the club and I opened them up, and everyone was just—it was like a crowd of all these. It was like a wasp to a honeypot or something. All people coming sniffing it. I think, go away! It's my sniffing. Go away.
Yeah, go away. Love that smell. Love that smell. It's like, oh, new hobby, new bit of fun. It's good. It's nice because my Black Seas book still smells of it because it's been in the box pretty much the whole time. So
Right.
if that ever comes out, I have a little sniff and be like, take me back to the crack heaven.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, but that's nostalgia for me. Is like just remembering, like I can't say remembering the good old days, but I've done a lot of research into what it was like. Because you can see, I like a game that was out before I was even bloody born, for Christ's sake. Warhammer Epic was out in 1988. I wasn't even considered for another 3 years.
Oh,
My parents were like,
Ken, that
yeah,
scares me. That's just so unfair. Jesus Christ. Oh my.
exactly.
I love that idea that you're nostalgic about a game that you didn't even see at the time. That's brilliant.
Crazy, isn't it? I want to go back. I'm so jealous I can't go back to the 90s when this game was like at its peak and I could walk into any shop and buy it. Oh, God.
Instead, you
I'll
have
tell
to
you
go.
what though, it's bloody good looking on the Facebook groups hunting for stuff. Love doing that. That's an addiction all on its own. Trying to find bloody bargains. Oh, there is some good bargains to be had. I'll tell you what, there is some cracking bargains to be had on those Facebook groups. But yeah, no, that's and just thinking about Warhammer Fantasy again, it's like, oh, I want to play that game, but I know I've got to ping like 20,000 people.
I love it. I love it. So why that game? Why did that get you excited by?
I don't know. It's weird, isn't it? Because I obviously had it when I was little, when I was younger. I didn't know what it was. But I just love that game because you can control so many different units that you wouldn't be able to control in a normal game of 40k. You wouldn't be able to have 8 to 10 rhinos on a battlefield along. Christ, can you imagine the cost in buying 10 rhinos? Jeez, they're like 35 quid a pop.
Yeah.
It's like 350 quid. It's ridiculous, and it's just I've got a good imagination, so I always like. I can imagine the battle going on in my head like a little mini movie. So I'm seeing everything going around. I'm like, just gets my juices flowing. Love it. But got something here, Dom, which I don't really want to show off because now people know I've got it. It's not good, Dom. Not good.
So much for what happened to the Ken? I've cleared all my backlog and I'm going to be really good from now on.
Well, that's my brother, isn't it?
Oh, those were the ones you were talking about last week.
Yeah, he posted them to me to get.
Nice.
Even though I asked him not to, he still bloody posted them.
Good on him. Then I'm really pleased. Now you haven't done your full crack mountain finish. That's good. I'm really pleased.
It's not funny, Dom. I was down to like 10 models.
It's bloody hilarious, mate. You're nowhere near in my league, but you're at least in the small league, which is great to see. I'm really pleased. I don't know. It's weird when you talked about nostalgia. About we should do this as a topic, and I was thinking, nostalgia. What do I mean, obviously, I was thinking gaming thing, not just general. Oh my goodness, it was better in the old days, kind of thing. But. Yeah. I honestly can't think of an awful lot that I would definitely go back to, if somebody offered it to me immediately, because, I think...
Have you got anything you ever not tried that you wish that you tried back then?
I'm trying to think. I don't honestly think there is. I mean, the only things I can think of that I used to love playing, and I know it's still around, it's actually a board game. Squad Leader. I absolutely loved Squad Leader. It's just the most awesome board game there is. But I don't know. I mean, I could still play it, but then I don't have anyone to play board games with, so it's sort of like a bit of a mute point, really. But that and Third Reich was another board game I absolutely liked, which was an Avalon Hill game, um, and that was a super game as well. I've spent, I mean, I know hundreds of hours playing both of those games.
Yeah.
Really, really enjoyed them, but I don't. I've still got the Third Reich. That's still sitting in my garage. But the Squad Leader, I think I've lost all the bits now. And one day I should buy it all again. I think you can play it online now as well. Maybe I'll
Well,
look in.
it was on Tabletop Simulator.
Right. Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, Liam spoke about it, and he was like, "Oh, what's this game?" And it just so happens that you've mentioned it, so yeah, we definitely.
The board game was awesome. Absolutely awesome. You know,
How much did I spend on my VR unit? 900 quid, Leslie. That was.
Oof, wow.
That was. I got that. I pre-ordered that day one when it first came out. It wasn't cheap. Sorry, mate. I interrupted you then.
No, it's all right.
I've got a habit of doing that.
It's usually me that does it to you, so it's entirely fair. So Leslie says he's got 10 models with those Russian buildings to finish. Is that it? Leslie, you need to come out of containment, otherwise, you're going to run out of things to do. I mean,
No, he's saying I have. I've got 10 models.
Ah, you have. Ah, okay, right. I was going to say.
That was it, Leslie. Yeah. Oh yeah. Not much.
Well, you
It
still.
would have been 10. It's not anymore. Sadly.
And those little plastic things are a right old bugger to paint up. Actually, they're not too bad, but you've got to make them up first. Oh, I hate making them up. I really hate making them up. No, so as I was saying about nostalgia, so I think those are probably the two things. I mean, the Third Reich I've got still, but I would love to play it again. And I did find it online once, but it wasn't the same. Something about the moving around, and it's probably you're too young for it really, but back in the day when you used to move around, nice old cardboard counters on a board, really nice mat board and what have you. I used to really enjoy those kind of games. It just doesn't seem quite right playing it on the computer. There's other games I love playing on the computer, but that just doesn't get it. Doesn't do it for me. So, yeah, I guess those would be the two things I probably would. In terms of, yeah, I'm trying to think from a wargaming perspective. I honestly can't think of much. Because I think I mentioned, well, no, I mentioned a few times the one of the reasons I got into wargaming was one of my mates' dads being into having Napoleonics, and so I always wanted to have massed battalions of Napoleonics, and he had, I think I'm probably boring everybody who's heard this before, but it was he had every regiment that was in the Confederacy of the Rhine. And it was absolutely spectacular. See them laid out on a table was just absolutely fantastic. Each battalion had, I don't know, I want to say 16 to 24 figures. There's 15 mils. And you can imagine every single battalion from all these different city-states, all the different colour schemes, all the different flags, the different troop types. It's just the most awesome thing. So I'd love to one day do that, but I have got quite a lot of 15 mils. So that sort of itch of trying to get massed battalions of Napoleonics out, I kind of have actually itched it. So figure wise it's difficult. I do remember again when I was I don't know how old I was, but I was a member of a club over at near Heathrow, and they used to do these special games every so often which for like Christmas and what have you, and we used to play some really good sort of fantasy games which were like single character skirmish games.
I'd say a bit like Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, it was sort of it was a bit of a crossover from that. So you had I can't remember how many figures, but I think maybe we had just 2 or 3 figures, or maybe it was one figure and then they had a little sort of group with them, sort of their henchmen, and they all had characteristics like you would in a D&D type scenario. But it was a skirmish, and they were always great fun. But again, I think it was more the occasion of sort of the whole club would do it. So most nights when you go to a club, there's everyone's doing their own little thing, and then but this was kind of the annual game where everybody joined in, Even if you weren't into fantasy stuff, they all took part, and that it was that sort of thing, and that I really enjoyed. So those sort of things are very much what I get nostalgic for. What's that? Leslie's saying the old WRG first edition. Jeez, God blimey! I don't think I remember that, Leslie. I probably did play it, but I don't remember them. First edition. The first one I remember consciously WRG playing was 5th edition. Played a lot of 5th and 6th and 7th, and then it moved. War Games Research Group. They were sort of the de facto rules for pretty much every period, actually. Back in the, God, I guess it was the 80s, 90s. And you could get them for every period, basically. Napoleonics, Ancients, Renaissance. I think they did Second World War, although I never did that. We used to play mainly Ancients with them, and that was when I was doing competition gaming. Used to do 6th and 7th edition competitions, and then they changed into this DBA system, which I didn't like at all. That's still going strong, apparently. Yeah, so yeah, no, so I don't know. I get a bit. I suppose the only thing I get really nostalgic for in the gaming arena is those sort of old games that I really enjoyed. The occasions. I think I talked about this one as well. Was that time when I played the massive refight of Waterloo. Another time I joined a game which was refight of the northern flank of Leipzig. Battle of Leipzig, and just those kind of occasions when there's just thousands and thousands of beautifully painted figures on the table, and silly things go on, and all those memories of the games with your mates when something really stupid happens, or they do something really daft, and that sort of thing. Just I suppose it's the nostalgia for me in the hobby.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's whatever you remember, and it's happy days sort of thing. It's like, for me, technically, Epic for me is nostalgia because I played it when I was like 10 or 11, and then I come back to it. Well, I tried to play it. I didn't play it with the real rules. It was I'll roll a 6 and it hit.
Love it.
That was the rules of, I'm not reading these rule books. I have no idea what this is about. I'm only 10 years old.
So Leslie says 6th and 7th just rolled them up from the flank. I'm not sure I know what you mean by that, but anyway, whatever. But yes.
Seb's gone. I got a test sprue of British Napoleonic infantry turn up today. Going to try and paint them up. So.
Yeah.
Try and paint them up. I'm not going to lie to you. I've painted some Napoleonics, and they are a bastard. They are an absolute swine to paint.
They are fiddly. They are really fiddly. And if you've only really done Second World War, you will really find it a challenge. Yeah, yeah. It's you can go the other way round, of course. When I always came the other way round, so I started on more Napoleonics and Ancients, and then going back to Second War, and that's a doddle. It just kind of thinks it's easy, but yeah, they are fiddly.
Ready to only paint 3 a night, Seb. That's what I would say. Not going to paint shitloads at once.
It did Leipzig at colours in 54mm a couple of years ago. Bloody hell, did they? I don't remember that. That must have been awesome. I loved Leipzig. They called it the Battle of the Nations because I can't remember how many nations were involved in it, but a hell of a lot of them. So you had Napoleon, obviously, with all his allies, all these German states and what have you, and Italians and what have you on his army, and then the Allied army, which was there was Russians, Austrians, Prussians, Swedish, even a troop of British rocket troops.
Okay.
And probably a load of more besides, but it was a massive battle in eastern Germany, which was the demise of Napoleon the first time round. He went into exile before he then came back to fight the Waterloo campaign, and we all know what happens from there. But yeah, amazing battle. absolutely, mate. That was some game. I just remember. I don't remember much about the game, but I had command of a Russian cavalry brigade, and I must have had, I don't know how many, probably about 8 or 10 regiments of 28mm cavalry, which must all have been about 20 figures each, something like that. It's a lot of lead, and they were lead, they were metal, heavy metal. You're talking about the heavy figures and how they're made differently. These were proper heavy figures. They were probably something like Hinchcliffe or one of the real old manufacturers. Beautifully painted. I hadn't painted them, but somebody else had, and I just remember I got to play with them. It was just awesome. We massive all day long. I mean, literally, this was one of these mass battles that took place in a church hall somewhere, and literally all day long it was to and fro, cavalry charging, then counter charging, and then just like you read about in the histories. Really until eventually just the morale of one side broke. I can't even remember who won the game. It was that much. It didn't really matter,
No, that there, Dom, what you just described is nostalgia.
It is. You're right. Yeah, and that's what.
It's like passion, isn't it?
It is, and I think that's where as I say, I think that's really what the nostalgia I have for the game is those game memories. I remember playing at Salute one year. Again, many years ago, when it was still at Kensington Town Hall, and they, for a couple of years running, I don't even know what the club was, but this club put on these massive Star Trek games, and then they had these great big spaceships that were, I don't know, 2 or 3 feet wide, and they had them they'd basically taken the whole floor of this room. You sat on the edge of the room, and you controlled them from on far. So you did all your movements, and it was really hard to do because obviously the ship was on the other end of the room. You were saying go forward 3 foot and then turn right, and it was
right,
yeah. And there was and then they made it really difficult by putting asteroids and things around the place, which if you hit would destroy your ship.
They didn't make it easy for you.
No, and I remember my mate Tom. There were 3 of us when we went that year, and it has to be truthful, we had been to the local pubs and sort of partaken of a few jars, and then we came back to play this game. We'd been waiting all day to play it, and literally in the first 10 minutes or so, Tom managed to, he'd got something like a tug, something like that. He obviously was very drunk or very late getting to the table, but he was given a tug to control, and he managed to ram the Enterprise, who then bounced off him and rammed into an asteroid, bounced back and into him, and both of them exploded. And literally in the first 10 minutes, and the faces of all these people around the table, there goes the Enterprise, just goes up in the first 2 minutes, and it was just like those sort of memories. You just think, oh, we laughed and we laughed and we laughed. It was so funny. Poor old Tom was sitting there going, "What the?" What?
You probably fooled someone's game. They're probably like, "Oh, wait, all you had to do this. Blown up already."
I know. It's cruel, isn't it? Oh, jeez. Large table in front of the bring and buy. Yeah.
Bring and buy. Bring and buy sale.
Yeah. Let's test him, Leslie. Okay, so Leslie reckons you won't know any of these. So what about, have you ever heard of Hinchcliffe? Well, I've just mentioned them. So Hinchcliffe.
I've heard of it. I have heard of Hinchcliffe.
Hinton Hunt? I don't think I know them either, actually. So I'm not even going to... Hinton Hunt. Are they the flat figures? I can't remember. Lambing? They were... And minifigs? Minifigs were the classic, the everywhere figure of the day. Minifigs. You still get them, I believe.
No, never heard of them.
No. They were all those were the sort of staple figures back in the day when I was... early days of gaming. The Hinchcliffe were very nice, very high detailed figures, but blooming expensive. I mean, by comparison to today, considerably more expensive than now.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You were definitely posh if you had them.
Yeah, I think it was something you serious. I mean, I guess I really can't remember how much they would have been, but I do remember buying my first few. Just being able to afford like a small unit of five or four, 5 or 6 cavalry, and that was a huge investment as a kid trying to. And then thinking, well, now what else do I do? Because I haven't got anything else to use them with.
No,
So then I used them with my
it's
FX plastics, which was a bit of a downer for them.
bit like my bloody SS. I've only got 3 of the buggers, so I need another. I need another, at least another 6 of them before I can actually use them. I really want to use them. My cavalry, my SS cavalry. Just see Liam's face when they start charging across the field. Hello, Liam. We're going to ruin your day, son.
The old SS, they are pretty fearsome. They are.
They are indeed, and I can't wait to use them. I've actually painted some up that are actually painted like SS as well now, which is half decent.
What is
So
what's your earliest memory of wargaming then?
it'd be the Warhammer. Oh, actually, tell a lie. When I was maybe about 7, my granddad took me to like school. Well, it was like a mod because I used to like trains. Well, I still do like trains, steam trains and that.
Mhm.
And my granddad took us to like a model railway exhibition at like a school, and they were doing a military one as well,
Mhm.
military models.
Right.
And I remember people playing World War II with tanks and stuff like that, and like Bocage and stuff. And I still remember the image now in my head. And that was probably my earliest thing. And I thought, Jesus, I want to do that. And I bought some Airfix stuff when I was about 15, and I spent like 150 quid on it. And then I brought it all home. And Mum goes, "What have you bought that for?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm going to paint it and play with it." And she was like, "Are you really?" And I was like, "Probably not." So she goes, "Why don't you just take it back and get a refund?" So I did.
Oh dear.
That was from Hobbycraft back in the day. That was.
Oh my goodness. That's a lot of money. 150 quid's worth of plastic figures
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah. So I mean, I was only 15. I was only 15, so I was still a baby. Probably younger than that actually. Maybe only been about 40. So I was working when I was 13, so I had my own money,
That's,
so I could spend it on
you
stuff.
do what
So
you wanted. That's good. Good. So what's he saying? You'd be buying the 1/12 scale working tanks. Oh yeah, they used to have those. And you ever see those at Salute and other shows? The sort of radio controlled, remote controlled tanks.
I had an M1 Abrams.
Oh, did there we go. I knew he would.
It's shot BBs. It's only a cheap one, but I did have one. Yeah.
Nice. I never had
That's
anything like that. I think that was when I was a kid. When my parents were very tolerant of loads of things, and we'd go to museums and to any kind of military, because I was always everything. If you had to go to any kind of museum or any kind of, if there was a battlefield somewhere near wherever we were, I'd always say, "Come, we got to go and see it. Got to go and see it." And invariably you couldn't find it, or if you did, it was like, well, what's going on here? Because they were so shit in those days of ever properly signposting anything. But they weren't. Yeah, exactly. It was just like a field. It's like, okay, so what's this one here? But they were very tolerant of loads of things that I did, and but not of collecting, that sort of thing, toys, soldiers, and whatnot. So I had a huge collection of plastic Airfix stuff because it was all cheap. But anything other than that, I just didn't have it, and so I had to earn every penny and sort of then scrimp and scrape to go and buy just the odd little, say Hinchcliffe figure.
That's why we all have such massive plastic crack things now.
Definitely.
When you're younger, you're like, no, you're not allowed that. As soon as someone says no, you're not allowed that, you're like, well, fuck you, I'm getting it.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. I know exactly. That's why I've got my problem with my addiction problem. Is just
I've got big boy pants now. I earn money.
it's my money. I'm going to do what I like with it.
Exactly. Until the wife gets hold of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, it's fucking ours, not yours.
Well, what was it? Martin said, I hope if I die, the wife doesn't sell everything at the price I said I'd paid for it. Yeah, too right, too bloody right. So apparently, Staden 30 mils were, according to Leslie, the most expensive. They were hand soldered to fix all the parts together. My goodness, really? Jeez. I remember them being in the back, seeing pictures of them in the magazines. Oh, that's the other thing that, yeah, definitely was a nostalgia for me.
White Dwarf for me.
Yeah, well, yeah, well, exactly the same sort of thing, isn't it? It's what all those lovely pictures and so it was.
I'll never be able to paint like that, but I wish I could.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Did you War Games Illustrator about them, weren't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was. Oh god, miniature war games was the number one, and there were about two or three magazines back in the day. And even before that, I used to go. Oh god, how sad it is! I used to go down to the library and get all the wargaming books out. So all these things like Asquith's book and Grant's book and all the classic wargame writers. Hey Leon, how you doing, mate? Hope you're feeling better still, mate. Hope the test came back well. So I had all these books out of the library, and literally they were the other thing that just got me going on the whole hobby, because I'd just sit and look at the pictures of all these mass battles, of classic old games, generally refights of some classic historical game battle. Sorry. Done in figures on all sorts of periods, and then these little Airfix books that did it as well, and they'd sort of often the magazines back then. And I wish they still did it. I don't think they do it anymore, but they used to have refights of battles that players had played, and it literally was by turn with little line drawing maps. And so you could follow the action. I loved it. It was before the internet, so you couldn't. That was the only way you could see all that kind of stuff.
That's it. That's what changed the world, was the internet, isn't it? And,
oh god, yeah.
And you could do war gaming, like get news instantly, and not have to wait a month for the next magazine to come.
Yeah. Well, that used to be the thing. The magazine came out, and you'd see what the next, what manufacturers were bringing out next, and then I remember used to, oh my god, this will get Leon and Leslie milking their pants. Used to send off, yeah, you'd send off for the mail, for their mailing list, so for all their catalogue of all their figures. And even then, you'd have to, 9 times out of 10, you'd have to send a stamped addressed envelope, because they wouldn't send it for free. So you'd have to send them an envelope with your address and the stamp already on it to them, and then they'd send you the mail list back. To then you could go and spend money with them. And 9 times out of 10, I wouldn't actually buy anything. I just kept the lists and I just sort of go through them, and because I say I didn't have any money,
all that money on stamps, mate.
Yeah.
All that money on stamps, you could have bought figures. Kaiser said that's exactly why people paint up gorgeous sets of games like Hero Quest. They have the experience they wanted as kids. Oh yeah, 100%.
Definitely. Definitely is. Yeah, you're right, Leslie. The Airfix guides, yeah. I started to collect them all again when I see them. Just because actually, I am on the nostalgia thing, aren't I? Yeah, I did. See if I can. Oh, hang on. Take my headphones off and I'll grab a couple. Talk amongst yourselves. Hang on a sec.
He's abandoned me on the stream. We put it was all 20mm World War II and 15mm Ancients back then. Oh, okay. That's what it was all about. I know Seb said he's got 40. Is it Hoplite box turning up? Hoplite, something. Hoplite. Where is Ancients?
There we go.
Oh, let's get the Germans painted. Oh, Germans go away, Germans.
There's 2 of the old books we used to get. Airfix books. Look how battered these old are. So they, I mean, I can't find how. Yeah, these were. The basic. How basic. We can't even see them on this. How basic they were, but it just these things used to get you really into the hobby.
Yeah.
Back in the day, before the internet, you see, how to play ancient war games.
Crazy, isn't it?
And these, it's another thing. Oh, it's not showing up on the camera, but they used to have all these army lists in the backs of these books, and I used to sit and spend hours working through what my army would be. Here you go. Don't we? You can see,
Yeah.
you can't see it. It's not showing up at all, is it? Some refights going on.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the sort of thing. You used to just. That's what you did before the internet, boys and girls. Sad, eh? And you know what? Porn was actually a magazine. It wasn't online. Yeah.
It was Playboy. It's funny because obviously I grew up to start with without the internet, and then it come around when I was about 11 or 12.
Yeah.
So I remember when we were like 10 and we were walking home from school and stuff, and you'd see there was a dirty magazine. Like you see a dirty magazine just been abandoned in the woods. And you're like walking home. But why is there a dirty magazine now? Thinking about it as a child, why is there a dirty magazine in the middle of the fucking woods?
now you know. Now you know. Yeah.
Now you know. And it's like you pick it up and you be like, oh, there's boobs. But yeah, no, I remember when the internet came about and stuff like that, and so I never really only thing I used it for first would have literally just been looking up stuff like games and things. Really, there wasn't a lot of video gaming and stuff to be done then because the bandwidth was so pants. Obviously not like today where we're doing a podcast live on Discord and all that through the internet. It's just internet's changed the world. I never would have thought when I was younger that I'd be doing my job that I do now for the internet. I wouldn't be doing this job. So
no.
Dealing with telephone lines, which is I will say this, right? Dealing with telephone lines, okay, is the most boring thing you'll ever do. It's so boring because all it is two wires. Not a lot of people know this. I'm gonna bring a bit of my work life into this. So basically, a telephone line is just two copper wires, an A and a B leg, and you transmit down one and you just see down the other. So that's why sometimes if you've got like a dodgy phone, if you call somebody, for example, and they can hear you and you can't hear them, it's because they've got a problem with their leg of their line coming to you. And that's all it is, two copper wires. Anyone can make a telephone with voltage.
And there you go. Public service announcement from Ken. There you go.
There you go. But the internet, on the other hand, working with that is bloody cool.
Hey Sean, how you doing, mate? Leon said he tried his Skype wouldn't work. That's because we're not on Skype, mate. We're on Discord.
Yeah, we're on Discord.
We had a few technical problems this afternoon. We couldn't get the damn thing to it.
Yeah, who got home from work at 7:20 was ready. Who's been home all day?
I spent 3 hours trying to get this thing working, and it was working fine. And then the moment you walked in the door, it all went up the spout. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying. It was working fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had to go on Discord. But a good thing is I'm getting a new camera out of Ken for this, so it's brilliant.
Yeah, you are. I can't stand to look at it anymore. It's driving me nuts. I'm seeing juttery Dom everywhere.
Oh.
I'll tell you what. I've made a bit of a boo boo here for timings and periods. People might be able to help me out with this. I've put an MG42 on my Stalingrad infantry, and I'm pretty sure they didn't have the MG42 then. I might be wrong. Obviously the MG42 was out in 1942. When was Stalingrad?
Well, it was 42 onwards, wasn't it? So
yeah,
you might have had the
prototype. It's a prototype. There you go. It's a prototype. They're testing it.
I don't know. I'm not that much of a complete geek on that.
We've got MG34s. I'm sure somebody will know. I'll have to Google it. not. But he's got an MG42 because I had some bits lying around from a SS box set, and I wanted another machine gun. So
Well, you could say he's SS because more often than not they would have had the best equipment anyway, wouldn't
yeah, true. Winter 42.
they? Yeah.
Okay.
So.
No for Stalingrad. It's an experimental one.
Well, not yeah, no, yeah. All right, you buggered. No.
They're field testing it.
So can we see you on Discord? Yeah, I think so. I think you can. It's Ken's what is it? Miniature War Games, whatever it is. Discord group. Leslie's asked.
Sorry, see us.
So can you see you on Discord? Yeah. Well, you can join, can't you? I think on Discord. Don't know.
Oh
how.
yeah. There's the channel. Obviously, you can join in. If you're interested in joining, by all means, you can come in and have a chat with us next week. Just send one of us a message if you're interested in coming on and having a chat.
Probably better to do Ken rather than me because yeah, enough said about how crap I am at all this sort of stuff. Oh yeah. Good grief. Oh, so
If you do send me a message, I don't get back to you straight away. It's because I'm on call and I'm probably asleep.
Fair
I
enough.
will get back to you.
Either that or he's too busy surfing the web for porn.
They didn't make incognito mode for nothing, mate.
That's true. That's very, very true. Very, very true. Oh, good, Leon. So you haven't got the dreaded virus. Good for you, mate. I'm pleased. Leon had to go and get his test done to see whether he had the dreaded virus, and so he's clean apparently. But he says on the downside he's got to had to go back to work. That's a bit of a bummer. I guess on balance, it's better not to have it, really.
No, well, I get to do that bloody test now because I'm a key worker. So if I don't get 2 weeks off if I haven't got it, which is really annoying. So I literally have to have it to have 2 weeks off.
Yeah, my wife was a key worker, so I can go because I hanger on, so it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. So you can law it now. So that's the thing that I don't bloody want it in the first place. In all honesty, like, I don't know about you lot, but we're going to go a bit political here, just for a second. It's not really political, but it's opinionated. I'll tell you what, there is so many more people out at the minute.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't care what anyone says.
Definitely.
People are flouting this thing at the moment. Massively. I don't want to be outside, and I have to be. I would very much like to stay at home and not have to go out because I don't want this bloody virus. But please, people, please stay at home. I don't want it. The less people I come into contact. Oh, that's the thing, Dom. Like, I'm outside and like I'm fixing something, and you get people come up to you because you don't hear you're in the zone at the time, and they come up behind you and touch you on the shoulder. I'm like, whoa, what are you doing?
Oh no! Oh, Leon's on Discord. I know, mate. It drives me insane. It's I get it when I occasionally go down the supermarket, go there, and you get them, and they're just like on shop mode, aren't they? They're just kind of like right in on, it's like just get out of the way, just I'll be away from this section in a minute, and they're also diving in like it's
Oh no! Just give me 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Give me 30 seconds. That's all you need. Can't wait 30 seconds. Oh mate, I've given some. When I've not been at work and I've been out, I'll tell you what, I've had a go at some people. I've really had a go at some people. And that's the problem. When you're at work, you can't. Well, I can say politely, please stay away from me. But it's a little bit different when I'm not at work and someone's like literally getting in my face while I'm trying to just pick up some milk. It's like, you can wait 5 seconds sort of thing.
Yeah.
Literally just picking it up.
I know that does drive me insane.
But yeah, everybody this week, I don't care. Loads of people have been flouting it. Fair play if you've been staying home, but so many people have been flouting it.
Where are they going to though? That's what I want to know.
I reckon they're going to like friends' houses and standing outside. I've got people around my place that are doing that.
Oh really?
They're getting people coming around. 100%. It's been like, what is it, 4 weeks coming up now? People are just bored. And that's the problem. And where there's the excuse to go out and exercise, anyone can go out at any time, and that's the problem.
Yeah, I think definitely people are bored with it. That's for sure. And I think the trouble is with it. Well, the good news is it's the numbers seem to be dropping, so everyone's sort
Yeah,
of
but they won't, will
taking
they? Because
advantage of it.
you'll get the. What do you think the government have said? Oh, in 3 weeks' time we'll review it. Because what'll happen is in 3 weeks' time we'll start shooting back up because everyone's flouting the bloody restrictions.
Yeah, true.
That's what'll happen.
Yep,
And
you're
then
right.
we'll be in another 3 bloody weeks.
Yep.
It just drives me. Don't get me wrong. The roads are quieter, but compared to 2 weeks ago or a week ago, because I'm out all the time, I know for a fact that they picked up and the motorways picked up. I used to be able to drive from my house into Portsmouth, which is about 20-minute drive. I could drive that with seeing maybe 2 or 3 cars in the first week of lockdown. I'm seeing anywhere between 100, 150 cars now.
Yep. Yep.
And these are rural roads.
Yeah.
It's like people are not paying attention to it. But there we go. That's enough for that. Sorry.
Yeah.
I needed to rant.
This is
Really getting on my nerves.
this is Ken's confessional. Wanted to get this off his chest, so thank you much for listening, everybody. Leon's ex-wife has it. Oh dear. Hope she's better. I know a couple of people who've had it. In fact, I'm pretty sure me and my daughter had it.
Probably had it, haven't you?
Pretty sure we did have it. It was very mild, but definitely.
Where do you reckon you picked it up from?
Well, so my wife works at a supermarket, so she probably could have picked it up from anybody there. And I've always said she's a spreader, so I bet that's what it is. She's a super spreader because she didn't get it.
Have any symptoms or not?
Yeah, she did. I mean, same sort of. Basically, both of us were the same. We just felt really shit, and I generally don't get ill. I'm not the sort of person that gets ill very often, but I felt really achy, didn't have a temperature, didn't have a hacking cough or anything like that, just a little occasional tickly cough, but nothing major. Felt really crap. And then we went out on a daily walk, and both of us said, "Oh, I think we might head back home again now. I feel like I want to just sit down." And that's very unlike us both, because she's super fit and active, and I'd walk a fair bit. And for it was only for 2 or 3 days, literally that long. I think she had it about 4 days, I think, and I literally 2 or 3 days, and that was that. Really in the early days of it all. Really early days of it all.
One of your daughters had it, or both of them?
Yeah, well, the other one isn't living here. She moved in with her boyfriend when all this started, because she works up in central London. Yeah, so she decided when this all happened, because she's been travelling the last couple of years around the world with her boyfriend, and when they came back, they were supposed to set up home. Yada yada yada. Can't go back over that, but obviously that went on hold with all this because his job fell through, so she had a choice. She said, "Well, I won't see him if I stay at home, and I'm working and he's not," and so she decided to go around there. So yeah, she's around there. Haven't seen. It was her birthday last week. Didn't see. I only saw her briefly. She came around and picked up a cake, which we left at the end of the drive for. Just quite sad, really. Yeah, never mind. But
come watch you on here, mate.
It's true. I should say that. Oh dear.
Come and tune in to Dad and his weird friend. That seems to like the same crack, but he's about 20 years younger.
Should just say, "You're so sad, the pair of you," and she's probably right.
Yeah, my missus says that. She goes, "I'm a sad bastard." She literally called me a sad bastard the other day. She went, "You love these plastic men?" I went, "Yep, they're fucking great." And she went, "You sad bastard."
It's hard to argue with that, really, isn't it? I'm doing some Hospitaller cavalry, Leon. Leon's asking what we're painting. What we're all painting.
Oh, I'm painting Germans, mate. I'm painting Stalingrad Germans. Which is coming on pretty well, actually. I'm just double checking. I just need to do the black now with the black Templar over the webbing. And then these can all have their strong tone wash from Army Painter, which I watered down a little bit. Not massive, because I like them quite dark, because they're going to be in Stalingrad. And when that's dry, what I'm doing is I go along with a sponge, and I do a sponge technique. So I tear a bit of sponge off, and with the Celestial Grey, because it's very off-white, just a very slight off-white, I give them a little dab and make them into having look like they've got a bit of snow on them. Like, so I'll go with this guy. Might be able to see it. a better example. If I can, sorry Leslie. I know it's a bit shite because these webcams are not the greatest thing for picking up images. I keep trying to work out how to use my camera if there's a webcam, but I don't think you can. I think there's only specific cameras that actually do that. But you'd think with a 500 quid camera you'd be able to bloody do that, but you can't.
No.
There's no way to capture the video, which is even more. Well, I think there is. I think I can run it through like a video capture box and then put it onto OBS that way. So I'll have to look into it because I would like to be able to stream with my camera. Definitely, if I could, that would be a lot better.
Should better use your phone, shouldn't you?
Dom's treated himself this week, hasn't you, Dom?
I bought myself a new PC. Yeah, I did. Don't tell the missus. Jesus. I had to get it delivered while she was at work, just because she.
You just hear, Dom! She's come from downstairs and you find out she's been watching you all this time as a secret admirer through the podcast.
She's the mysterious user number 3. No, I did. My computer's just was dying. It's like, and I know I could have got it components updated, but I was looking back at it and it's like I bought it 8 years ago. I upgraded it 6 years ago, and it's just grinding. So yeah, I must admit, especially because it's Windows XP, of course, which isn't supported anymore. I thought by the time I replaced that, that's a couple hundred quid, is it? It's like, well, I might as well get a new bloody computer, so I did. So yeah, of course, then we had all the fun and games of. I thought I'd set it. I thought it was really, really clever, folks. I thought it was really clever. I thought, Ken's going to give me real grief because it won't work again. Every time we try and stream, it's me trying to get it to work. It doesn't do it, and blah blah blah. So I thought, right, literally 2 hours today. During my working day, and I was busy today, I was trying to make sure it worked. I got it all sussed out. I did a couple of tests, streams, not public this time. I even worked out how to turn it off so it wasn't public, and it was all working fine. Ken walks in, switch it all on, failed. Just wouldn't do it. So I think the only thing I can say is that I reckon it's Ken. It's him. The factor was Ken.
I'm breaking the internet, and I don't.
You are, mate. Definitely. So you know how it works, and that's why you're killing it. So
yeah.
sure.
Don't even start with the 5G conspiracy stuff.
There you go. Say it's you.
Don't even start. Don't even start.
So Sean's doing Carthaginian, Celts, Jacobite, Royal Scots. Wow, very nice.
Very nice.
Is that what rule system are you using that for? Is that to get ready for the Lardy system, the ancients there? For the what's it? Infamy. So I'm looking.
I can't wait to have a game of Chain and Command on that board. I can't wait to play anything on that bloody board. To be honest,
I can't wait.
This Friday, part 4 is going to be filmed because I'm going to be painting all this up, and I'm going to build one of them to completion, I think. Because these aren't going to take 5 minutes; they're going to take quite a while to do. So at least I've got a bit of an extension because of everything that's going on at the moment.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Have you had your the Bolt Action supplement through Starling Red Book? Anybody?
No, no. Liam's order it, so I'm waiting on Liam.
Okay. I saw some people on Facebook saying it had arrived.
Yeah, early. I don't think it was meant to be released yet.
Yeah. I thought that was weird because I know that Warlords are working because I spoke to them a while back, or a week or so ago, because I had already pre-ordered it, and then I wanted a couple of extra bits. And then so I went on, and I knew they were reopening, so I said, "Oh, could I merge the 2 orders?" And they said, "Oh, we can't really do that because we're so short-numbered and what have you. So can you cancel the previous orders?" So I did that and then reordered them all together. So I know they're there, but so they may be shipping fairly soon, I guess. But I did see some people saying they'd received theirs. So
yeah, lucky buggers. Fair play to them, but you can't bloody play it at the minute unless you want to play solo or you live with someone that war games. But yeah, no, we're gonna play through it and just enjoy it really. we are going to play the whole scenario. It's going to come up on the channel.
Nice.
All of them. So we are going to do the whole thing because we've never actually done that yet. We haven't done every scenario in the book, but we're going to do that with this one, I think.
Very good. Oh no, he says they're not for a set of rules that his friends. No, my friend wrote a set called Great Captain. Best I've played so far. Oh, nice. What kind of scale are they? Is that skirmish or company or big battle? I really would like a bit.
Yeah, he needs. Yeah, he needed a different box. Oh Christ, the video capture box. Yeah, Leslie. Oh, yeah, so I should know all this. I've researched it a million times, and I should know all this. And whenever I get in front of this camera, my mind just goes. No, you won't remember, and you'll look like a bloody idiot to everyone that you don't know what you're talking about.
He's technical, honest.
Yeah, I am. Believe it or not, I do engineering, and yeah, I know what the little spectacle box is. The box is that it's called. I still can't remember what it's called. Oh, a capture device. No, it's not. Yeah, it is. No, I don't.
It's completely melting down. What can I say? It's that heat on that thing. Apparently, yeah. They're mainly big battles. Oh, nice. Oh, nice. I do really miss big battle games. It's one of the reasons why I want to get the garage table back up and running is I could set up games and leave them set up. Because that was always the problem with big games. Is you generally don't have enough time to go to a club or what have you and play them, because by the time you've set it all up and then played a few turns, then you've got to pack it all away again. Yeah, whereas if it's your home table, you can leave it set up.
That's why you want to play Epic.
Oh, here we go.
But in small scale. It's cracking.
I told you I will give you a game at it one day. I won't know what the hell's going on.
It's quite straightforward, to be fair. You use a card system, and you can only do so many orders, and you won't forget what you do because it uses the token system.
Right.
If you like tokens, mate, you'd love Epic. Because there is a lot of tokens involved.
Okay. Well, so I quite like the idea of a big game. So I just love seeing loads of stuff on the table, whatever it may be. So what's to say? Hey Chris, how you doing, mate?
I'm painting all these Germans, and I've got the bloody metal ones from the assault group sitting next to me, which I completely forgot about, even though I spoke about them earlier. I need to spray them, don't I? Oh no.
I'm really worried about you, Ken. Your brain is just going, mate. What can I say?
I had to do a hard day's work today. It's not fair.
There you go. Was it a hard day? Really? Was it really?
Yeah, it was. I was out for 8 hours today.
Grief.
I was out all day. I haven't done that for ages.
Blimey. So what we got here?
It's one of them days. It's being on call as well, which doesn't help. Your brain just goes to mush. Where's the bell? There it is.
Yeah, I think one of the things I do really want to do is the more I think about it, and I really am missing gaming. Figure gaming, I'm seriously missing. I even managed to get Imogen to agree that she'd play a game with me one day.
What, did you guilt trip her?
I think she's as bored shitless as I am, and so she said, oh, all right, because I told you before she's into her games and things. She likes online games and board games and whatnot. So I said, so I was thinking my viewer numbers will go up if I have a 19-year-old pretty girl playing. It's better than 50-year-old ugly bastard playing, isn't it? Oh dear.
Yeah, that's what Midway in the Minis does. He gets Penny on, doesn't he? His girlfriend.
That's right.
Does some stuff with him occasionally. It's a clever way to do it. It's smart. I reckon if you do, you get a good-looking girl on the channels. Anyone's gonna come and view it. Plastic and girls. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's scary. I mean, I'm not sure I want half the blokes that watch this stuff to see my daughter. But It's just a bit too scary, really. But I did notice Martin Seventh Son. His subscription numbers went absolutely through the roof the other day because he played that game with his wife, and he's got another one up with playing with his wife again. So I think it's definitely the secret. Not that I'm desperate for my sub numbers to go up.
Basically saying I need to pimp my missus out
Yeah, basically.
onto the channel.
Basically, mate. Yeah.
Right, Laura, where's your low cut top?
Oh dear.
I did put a viewer discretion as advised at the start of this, remember that?
You did. Oh, Jesus. Hey, talk of the devil, there's Martin's in the house. Hiya, Martin. It's your fault.
I feel like I'm being myself today, which is a rare thing for camera. Nah, not really. I'm just being a bit more drained out, I think.
It's like you've been drinking. It's like...
I'll probably just end up with about 30 strikes on my channel. That's it, you got to 1,000, well done. He's always striked. See you later. Start again. Yay.
I don't know. What have we got in here?
I am knackered. I can't believe I'm still painting these Germans.
Well, I've done about 5 horses so far.
There it is, Tom. There it is. The call out.
Oh God, he's off. He's been called out. Oh dear.
Hello.
Ken's actually got to go and do some work. That's a shame, isn't it? So we've got T in the chat while he's doing that. Leon's doing his... he's still doing Landschnecks. You must almost be finished on those. Blimey. You've run out of spray paint, mate. Oh no, disaster. I had to put in an emergency order today to Army Painter. They're still running, and they do a really good service mail order from Holland. Comes in a few days. It's really good. It's not too expensive either. It's couriered over, so that's worth it. Hey Martin, how you doing, mate? Yeah, definite consensus. Oh, he's not listening, so you can't tell. Ken's missus has got to be in the next video. That's all I'm saying. You've upped the game, Martin. Having your missus in there makes all the difference. Seen what it's done to your subs numbers.
No, I don't have to go out.
Oh, you're right. We did.
Checking on me. They were like, see you doing a YouTube live stream.
We can see the language that's coming out of your channel, and it's just not good enough.
No, yeah. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. Well, what did you get Imogen to agree to play with you then, and have you played it, and how did it go?
No, I haven't yet. We just talked about it yesterday. Well, that's now. I'm just trying to think. So, what should I play? What do you reckon? Do you reckon bolt action? I did think about that.
Simple. You ain't got anything sci-fi or fantasy, have you?
Not really, not enough. Well, I mean, I only got Saga, and that's just too complicated, I think, for someone to pick up.
Bolt action's pretty straightforward.
I was thinking about if I had enough of my medievals done, I could do those. Oh God, what are they called? The Osprey rules, because they're quite simple to play. And people have been nagging me to play them, so I could do that.
Yeah.
So I might get them out and read them tomorrow if I get a chance, and then maybe I'll see how many medievals are. Yeah, actually that's a good idea. That's a really good idea. You're full of it, aren't you, tonight? Blimey, look at you go. Yeah.
You can tell her when she's playing it, thank Ken for this, and then if she's having a shit game, then
I'll say thank Ken for this, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, blame Ken for this. I want to play medievals.
Yeah.
Suggested. Yeah. The thingy,
That's a really good idea. I mean, if we played the basic edition.
Figures for Sword and Steel Girls. Click the viewing figures for Sword and Steel Girls and gaming YouTube channels. They do really well. Yeah, they do. And to be fair, I really do like some of their content.
They do some really good stuff, don't they? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I'm being completely facetious and lying, but there are some really good channels. There's another girl that does some excellent painting A lot of them are really into the painting more than the gaming, I think, aren't they? On the whole, some of
Yeah.
these girls, and they
And
do
as
some.
well, 40k seems to have this specific type of, I want to say nerd,
Right.
that loves 40k, and it's just that's the bread and butter.
Yeah,
You
I'm
wouldn't,
good on them.
you wouldn't. I don't like we said the other week. I don't really know of any ladies on YouTube that do historicals.
No, no, not me. Well,
I don't really know anyone that. I might be completely wrong. There probably is someone out there, lady that does historicals, but I've never. Well, YouTube's not shown me her videos. To put it that way.
Martin's wife. There you go. She does. She's
Oh
played.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
She's
yeah.
played 2 Black Powder games. I haven't watched the second one yet. Did she thrash you again in that one? She thrashed. She thrashed him in the
Did
first
she
game.
enjoy it? That's the
Well,
question.
she came back for a second game, so either he bribed her, hell of a lot. But I did laugh. He was trying to lie to her about what 6 inches was measurement wise. I said, if there's one thing that women know, 6 inches, then you can't fool a woman on that score. But yeah, it was hilarious. What are we saying here? Oh, blimey, there's loads of stuff in the chat. Muskets and hammerhorts. Now, that's another good shout, Leslie. Yes. Yeah, that's a really good. Because I've got all the. My trouble is I've only got one side. I've got the Brits. I could do the Indians against them. Or I could get the AWI figures out. Ooh, a good shout. Like that. Martin says there's a downside to letting her play. Now I'm getting beaten at home instead of with the gaming group.
She'll be wanting to come to conventions next.
Yeah, you wait. It's a slippery slope.
Done it.
Yeah.
My freedom.
So soon she'll be going to the club and you'll be staying at home. And
Yeah, I want to go to the club this week, so there's still housework to be done.
Yeah,
so we can do it this week.
exactly. Stay at home. Oh dear. Oh, what's have we got
That's
here?
what Laura does to me sometimes on the weekend. She'll go, there's still housework to be done. You can't go and paint your models until you think. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I feel like a child again. You know what I mean? Like my mum, fucking dreadful. Oh, I want to go and paint my plants.
Want to go play toys? Want to go and play my toys, Mum? Let me go and play. Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
You got washing up to be done. Oh, washing up. I'll do it later. No, I want it done now because it'll go all crusty. Oh.
It's a real confessional tonight, isn't it, from Ken? Blimey. Listen to him rant. Jesus. Oh dear, dear, dear.
She's a good lady. She looks after me. I look after her as well, but she looks after me. It's a two-way street. But she fucking hates miniatures, so I've got no worries in that.
So I'm the same. My wife would not play. You know, we occasionally play the odd board game, but she doesn't really like it, and so figures no chance at all. Chris says he keeps getting his arse handed to him by his 16-year-old son. Yeah, that's fairly typical. That's true. Actually, he didn't say that. He did say he got beaten, but I used the language. But there you go. Sebastian.
Don't worry. I said viewers' discretion is advised.
That's true. It's fine. We can say what the fuck we like.
Yes, we can.
Sebastian says, are you two of you going to play a game when this is all over? You know what? Funny enough, we had it all set up to play. We were gonna meet up at Salute, and we'd also planned to play some Black Seas, and then the world came to an end, so we couldn't do it. So when this is all over, I'm never going to talk to him again. So it's fine. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. No, well, you only live about an hour's drive from me, don't you? So
It's not far.
we can meet
Probably
up.
less than that.
Yeah, it's something like that. So we'll meet up.
Sort the garage out, mate. Garage out.
Yeah, I do need to. That's definite. I looked at it over the weekend. And I thought, oh my god.
That's a challenge.
Oh,
You won't need me after because Imogen will turn into Love and War.
That's true.
Just get rid of me.
She's my secret weapon. She's my hope for the future of my channel and my. I'm thinking if I can get up to 30,000 subscribers, I could retire and she could keep in the manner I'm accustomed to. You never know. Oh dear. You were watching your language. Yeah, you were, but I used it. I knew what you went to say, Chris. It's fine. Yeah. Martin says, haha, yeah, she actually asked for the second game. Slightly regretting it now.
Oh dear.
Yeah, good luck.
The problem is, if she really falls in love with it, you're going to have to go out and buy her some models, mate. So you'll have to do Christmas. At least Christmas will be bloody easy, wouldn't it? That'd be bloody blinding.
Wouldn't it?
Go shopping for her presents and you can get your own at the same time. Oh, wow.
But then you're going to have to admit how much they cost.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine that conversation? They were how much?
My missus still thinks my VR cost me 150 quid.
Oh, don't. I'm not even going to say that because the walls have ears. The sort of things like that I've done. Yeah. Jesus, no. Yeah, it's scary. Oh dear.
Laura knows how much models cost, which is good because she's have to buy me some. But I always send her to the discount retailer because I don't like getting ripped off. I don't want her to buy it.
Well, I do the same. Why? So that's a question for folks. Why do you buy direct from Warlords and places like that, and Games Workshop and everyone else, when you can go somewhere else and get a 20% off discount? I don't get it.
I know what people are going to say because they're supporting the manufacturer, but you're still supporting the manufacturer because they've sold miniatures to a third-party company already.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't have been selling those miniatures.
Exactly right. I
very, 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 very rarely buy direct. The only time I buy direct from Warlord is if I'm in Nottingham.
The only time I do.
I'm in their shop. That's the only time I buy direct.
Yeah.
From Warlords.
So I bought
if it's only available through Games Workshop.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say that's the sheer time. So the reason why I went back and why I was buying some stuff with them just recently was because I wanted a figure that it's the Russian ampullet thing, Anthem thing, and it's made to order, and they don't sell that through third parties, so there's no other way of getting it other than with them. So I wanted to get the Stalingrad book, and the other thing is I've noticed sometimes, not always, but sometimes those third party companies don't give you the free figure that comes with the book.
No.
And I wanted the free figure with the Stalingrad book, so I'd pre-ordered it there. So that's the only reason why I did.
That's why Liam's done it. He wants for City Sides there for his army.
Yeah.
So that's why he's gone direct for it. Otherwise he wouldn't have bothered.
No. But I don't get it.
No, I don't understand either, mate. In all honesty, I used to and then I found I was getting ripped off. Ken, do you need to do a big game using figures from Dom's stash? It will get him painting rather than buying. Yeah, but he's got loads of 15 mils that he didn't even show you, and they're in his loft. That's the scary thing.
I'll take a picture of them one day and show you. They are. I mean, that is scary.
Yeah. Crazy, isn't it? Absolutely crazy. Where's that? I'm just trying to get something up here, Dom, because you can have a choice of birthday presents.
I love this.
You have to give me your address when we get through thingy, but I'll send you a mystery birthday present.
All right.
And you have to promise me.
Yeah.
That if I send it to you, you have to. If it's any models, you have to do them, build them, and paint them within 30 days.
30 days. Okay. All right.
30 days. 30 days. Yeah.
Well, I know what they are when I get them, because you'll probably send me something from Games Workshop, and I'll have no idea what they are.
You will know what they are.
Oh, well, good.
But if you don't, you can still do the research.
That's true. I'm up for that. I'm up for a challenge. I don't mind. I appreciate any freebies. Thank you. Because I just haven't. I'm hard pressed for figures. You know how it is. Not.
I'll tell you what I was looking at though, Dom.
Yeah, mate.
If you look at my feed in a second, I'll show you because this is what me and you were talking about before. So I'm just gonna try and get it up here. So
Not yet.
Probably will do in about 10 seconds. Should be there now. Oh.
Can't see anything yet.
Oh, I know why. Oh, I know why. I haven't pushed the bloody transfer option, have I?
Call tech support, quick.
There you go. Now you should. Transition. Yeah, you should see it now. I forgot you can line all this stuff up beforehand.
I need to spend a bit of
See
time
it?
with OBS. Not yet.
What broken? Oh, I know why. I know why. I know why. Can I? No. No, I can't. Bugger. No, I'll show you next week.
Alright, fair enough. Yeah,
But there's some classic figures, basically.
okay.
And,
I'm up for that. Whatever. Yeah, Barbie, you know me. I appreciate anything like that. Thank you.
and then what I'll do is I'll stick some of my models in there and you have to send them back just as a tax.
Fair enough. That's a deal. Could start my commission work off, couldn't I? Yeah.
Let's try and see that. Okay, I'm ready. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm actually ready to do the actual basing of the things tomorrow. Okay, that's cool. Christ, right. I've just realised what time it is, Dom. It's 20 to 10, and I said I'd be off here at 9:30.
No worries, mate. It always overruns, doesn't it? Just see what everyone said in the
Always
chat
overruns.
before. So yeah, Leon and Martin say they only get stuff from Warlords when it's on sale. Yeah, well that's where a lot of my garage sale is from. Is the pound sprue things.
Base files.
Yeah, do the same thing. Yeah, when Perry's do a 3x1. Yeah, it's the only way to do it. Yeah, definitely, definitely. Good stuff. Well, I think we are wrapping up then, because
Yes.
Ken's got his bedtime. Because otherwise he'll fall asleep
Yeah.
on the stream, and that's not good.
No, it's not good. But I've managed to this evening. I'll try and get them in camera. Is it that way? No, it's that way. So there are about 12 Germans here. I've base coated everything, and I just need to put the wash on, and they're done. So that'll be all those plastic Germans that I had finished. Because it literally takes 20 seconds to base these with Luke APS as basic material.
Yeah.
How many plugs have we done for Luke APS?
He should give us a cut, really, shouldn't he? He should give us a
should.
cut, definitely.
But yeah, it will take about 20 seconds each to base those. It's literally so good, so quick, and that.
Oh, it's I don't know how I ever managed without it, to be absolutely honest.
No.
I've done 8 horses. 8 horses. Basically, the horse colours, the tails, and the whatever they call them, the blankets that go over the horses done. Was half done. That one's got padded stuff on it. I've got to work out what colour I'm going to do that. But I'm doing Hospitaller Knights, so they're all red with white crosses on them. So I'm going to do the white crosses at some point. That'll be fun. That'll be fun.
I forgot. There's one that I hadn't even base coated anything yet.
You need to sort yourself out, boy. You really do.
Oh my god, I don't think I've even primed that yet.
He's had a blinder tonight, hasn't he? God damn it!
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how excited I am. The fact he's been crowing his head off that he's actually got through his stash, and now not only is he not through his stash, he's found ones that he hasn't even primed and isn't even ready to go. And on that bombshell, it's time for bed.
It is. See you next week, guys.
Cheers, thanks for watching, guys. See you again soon. Oops.
End the stream.
Oh, I haven't ended. I don't know how to end it. Where are we?
He's still not ended.
Stop stream. There you go.